Stop video. Okay. And mute.
All right.
Go.
Hello, welcome, and good morning in Canada and the USA, and good evening to you in South Asia and some other parts of the world. Welcome to the Coalition of South Asian Film Festivals, CoSAFF. Welcome to our My First Feature panel. My name is Arshad Khan. I am the director of the Mosaic International South Asian Film Festival, MESAF, which is one of the 7 festivals that came together to form CoSAFF. The other festivals are the Tasveer South Asian Film Festival, Chicago South Asian Film Festival, Nepal American International Film Festival, South Asian Film Festival of Montreal, DC South Asian Film Festival, and the Vancouver International South Asian Film Festival. Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge the land on which we gather and on which the region of Peel, where I'm in Mississauga, operates. It is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. For thousands of years, indigenous peoples inhabited and cared for this land. In particular, we acknowledge the territory of the Anishinaabe, the Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwe Chippewa peoples. The land that is home to the Métis, and most recently, the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations, who are direct descendants of the Mississaugas of the Credit. CoSAFF came together in response to the very serious situation of COVID-19 that we are faced with today. And it took a lot of effort and a lot of work and months of mostly volunteer work for this beautiful and wonderful festival to come together under the guidance of Rita Meher at the Tasveer South Asian Film Festival. And so we are very, very proud of all the activities taking place from the 3rd to the 17th of October, including industry panels and beautiful films that are available on video on demand anytime for you between those dates. So please go online and watch those films. I'm really proud to be moderating a wonderful panel on making a first feature film as a first feature film making filmmaker myself. So without further ado, please allow me to welcome our amazing guests. First of all, I'd like to welcome Achal Mishra. Achal Mishra is a 24-year-old self-taught filmmaker and photographer, a native of Darbhanga, a small town in the North Indian state of Bihar. He started making films during his school days and went on to study film studies at King's College, London. After a brief stint in London, which was spent mostly in watching and absorbing cinema, he came back to India and has been making short films since then. Gamak Ghar is his first feature. Welcome.
Thank you, Arshad. Thank you for having me.
Next, I'd like to invite the wonderful Syed Baba Azmi, who is an Indian film cinematographer and a member of the Akhtar Azmi film family. He's son of the poet and lyricist Kafi Azmi and brother of Shabana Azmi. He's known for his work in films such as Arjun, Beta, Dil, Tezab, Mr. India, Akele Hum, Akele Tum, and Pukar. He started his film career in the mid-70s, assisting Ishan Arya, his first cousin, in Telugu films, starting as working as a light boy. He worked with Arya for a few Telugu films before he got an independent break. In 2020, he made his wonderful directorial debut, which was opening film at CoSAFF called Mee Raqsam, which is available until the 17th of October. Welcome, Baba Azmi.
Thank you. Hi, thank you. Thank you.
Next up, we have Blaise Singh, who is the founder of Make a Difference Entertainment, MADE, a charity dedicated to producing film, video, and TV productions that promote equality and diversity. He's also a project manager and producer for Rainbow Films, which is a documentary filmmaking project for queer people of color. And he's the director of Pride and Protest, which is a wonderful documentary available until the 17th of October. Welcome, Blaise.
Hi, Arshad. Thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here with all these lovely, talented filmmakers.
And finally, we have the wonderful Canadian Bangladeshi journalist and filmmaker Zana Shami. She is an alum of the Doc Toronto's Breakthrough Program, documentary channels Doc Accelerator, and Real World Film Festival's Impact Film Lab. Before coming to Canada, Zana worked as a journalist in her hometown in Dhaka, Bangladesh. She's a graduate of the Broadcasting and Film Program at Toronto Centennial College, holds a master's degree in mass communication and journalism from the University of Dhaka. And Untying the Knot is her extremely brave and amazing first feature. Welcome, Zana.
Thank you so much, Arshad. It was a pleasure joining with all this talented filmmaker.
Yeah, so let's have a conversation and help our viewers understand how it is that we accomplish the miraculous and gigantic gargantuan task of making a first feature. Since we have you here, let's talk about your film Untying the Knot, Zana. What a brave film. Please tell us about that.
Thank you so much. It was quite a journey, to be honest. And I started this journey when the incident happened with my high school friend, Rumana Manzoor, who was one of the main subject in my film, who was blinded by her husband in Dhaka, Bangladesh. So that time I was at the last semester of Centennial, and that incident happened, and that shattered me, right? I couldn't believe that can happen. I was aware of domestic violence in back home, but I was naive, middle class or upper middle class people like us. So that literally shattered me, because I grew up with that girl. Like, we went to high school together, and so I started doing research to find out that what's going on in back home. And then later I finished school, and I started digging up more and more. Every time I visit Bangladesh, I try to find out more information, try to talk to the activists and other journalists and people. And in 2016, I got selected for a breakthrough program. I pitched the story, and that's how I got selected. And
One question, did you have a pitch video?
Yes. So during those research time, like every time I went to Bangladesh, I tried to, like, with my basic camera skill, I tried to record all those stuff. And some of my friends, they helped to put it together. And I made a little pitch film.
I have another question. When you recorded these interviews, did you use professional sound audio, or? Yeah,
it is a professional. Like, I had to do all by myself, but I use professional camera, professional sound equipment. Yes.
Okay, good.
So with those thing, one of my friend, he helped me to put it together, and I made kind of demo reel, and that's how I pitched the story to Toronto Breakthrough Program. And I'm fortunate enough to got selected. And so this breakthrough program is amazing program. Like, you get to pitch your story to industry people, like all those commissioning editor, broadcaster, producers. So it's a pitch practice session before Hot Docs. So you all, I guess everyone, Arshad knows that. So Hot Docs is the largest North American documentary festival. So this program prepared you for Hot Docs to pitch your story. So when we were doing this pitch practice, luckily Lalita Krishna, she's a very renowned award-winning producer. She was one of the session, and she liked my pitch. And she came on board as an executive producer and producer. So, and then by that time, I have been pitching everywhere, literally everywhere. Whoever I'm seeing, I'm just pitching my story.
We know you worked very, very hard.
So then CBC came on board as a commissioning broadcaster. So that was like amazing. And one of my friend, Katie Sowells, she has been with me all through from the very beginning. So that's how I guess the journey began. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And you know, a lot of our viewers I know will have questions. So please go to slido.com and use the number 85129. If you have any questions during our talk, please start sending the questions in. This is amazing, you know, that you make your pitch video, then you send it out, then you get selected, then you find a producer. Wonderful. Now let's move on to Blaise in the UK. Blaise Singh, please tell us about your journey to your first feature.
Yeah, so Pride and Protest in a way was, I guess, it's probably accidentally became my first feature film because we never set out for it to be a feature film first and foremost. Because just to explain the way it came about was, as you had mentioned in your intro, I run a charity called Make a Difference Entertainment, and through the charity we run several projects. And it just so happened that our service users were interested in doing a project specifically about the LGBT community and also going into the experiences of queer people of color, because that's who the majority of the group were at the time. So we decided to pitch the idea to an organization called the People's Health Trust. And they're actually interested in tackling health inequalities, which basically means looking at ways in reducing social isolation, decreasing loneliness, and doing it through activities. So effectively, what we were actually funded for was a meetup group. So we would be meeting every Saturday on a regular basis over the course of, I would say, sort of 18 to 20 months in total. And it just so happened that we had a burning desire in us to use those sessions to turn them into a filmmaking sessions and also document some of the conversations that we had. So along the way, we decided to visit Pride events. We went to various activists and talked to activists to get knowledge and insight into queer issues, specifically looking at, again, going into the challenges and the intersectional identities that people of color, queer people of color, possess, and how those identities interact and how they can clash at times. So we decided to document those conversations, and then we decided to put it into a film, and that's how Pride and Protest was born, basically. And then as a result of that, we thought, you know, we wanted to do more than just have a film for ourselves. We wanted to distribute the film. We wanted to make sure people could see the film. And we decided to give it a shot and submit it to BFI Flair, which is the largest LGBTQ plus festival in Europe. And we weren't expecting to get through because this film, we don't have major production values. As I said, we kind of did it off our own backs. We had the resources to actually make the film through the equipment that we had at Made and the volunteer time. So in effect, this film was literally made for nothing apart from expenses. So we put that together through pure just blood, sweat, determination, passion for the project. Loads of editing hours, plus 1,000 hours just sitting there editing it. Me losing my mind because I had a really crappy laptop that just wasn't capable of ingesting the 4K footage that
we've all been there.
Yeah, so it took a lot longer than we had anticipated, in fact. But we got there in the end, and I think what we produced was something quite beautiful in the sense that it really spoke to the people that we were trying to reach. And by having a platform now here today as well, I think the film needs to be seen by this audience, because I think that's where the most impact is going to be felt. Trying to change minds and trying to change perceptions was what we had always set out to do with this film in particular. And in terms of Made as well, it's what we were conceived to do, which is to challenge prejudices, which is to increase understanding, and also contribute to the career readiness of all the people that we're working with. I think we've done that with this project, so I'm really pleased where we're at so far. So
we see your little dog there.
My dog, yeah. Hello.
Cameo. That's wonderful.
I always introduce my dog. He's in the film as well. He's the main star.
That's right. No, but the film is very professional. We will get to the impact of all these films a little bit later. But right now, I just want to talk about really how you just got started. And it's a wonderful way that it started with activism. And, you know, I mean, I can't believe that you didn't get more funding for your film because it's so crisp and the sound design and the visuals are so clear and so clean and so really well edited. So bravo to you.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Let's move to Achal Mishra of Gamak Ghar now.
You might know Gamak Ghar is about my own ancestral house. You know, it's this small house we have in a village near my hometown, and that's where my father grew up. That's where my grandfather lived. He was the one who built the house. So since childhood, we've been visiting there. It was more frequent when I was say 5 years old or 7 years old. We used to go there 4 or 5 times a year, and then over the years it came down to say just like once a year. So since the last 3-4 years, I wanted to do something there. I was not sure of what it's going to be, or when it's going to be, but I just, every time I visited there, I felt I'm going to make a film here at some point. And then I think this was December 2017. I was writing a completely different film, a short film actually, set in Delhi, because I didn't think I'm ready for a feature film yet, because I was 21 then. So I was writing this short film, and then I visited the village, and I realized how the landscape is changing so much. I realized ours like the only house which has remained unchanged till now. All
Wow.
the other houses had either become a double story or they were simply abandoned. People didn't come there anymore. Uh, and around the same time, my mother said that she's planning to do some renovation in the house, to maybe build a double story like those other houses. So suddenly I felt I now have a reason probably to make a film, almost like, I wanted to preserve that house by making a film there. But I still didn't know what the film is going to be. I just wanted to make a film there, and now I had a reason probably that by making a film there, I'll just document everything. At the same time, I was also aware of the region is Mithila. It's where the famous Madhubani painting or Mithila painting comes from. It's this
Wow.
northeastern region of Bihar. And I realized, this region with such a strong cultural history, and all these traditions, it has barely been documented in any way. you know and that's mostly because of the migration which has happened. Bihar is one of the states from where most of the people have migrated over the years.
Wow. Yes.
So there's hardly any literature now, hardly any cinema, anything. So everything was just disappearing and not being documented. So I realized I'll make a film here, and at the same time, my film will also aim to be a cultural document. By including the language of the place, the folk songs, the rituals, and everything. So that's where the film was born. And then because the film was about the house, I started shaping the narrative around the house itself. So the film doesn't have a main character as such. It doesn't have a protagonist.
Well, the
So
house is the protagonist, right?
yeah, the house is the protagonist, and it's about the house through 2 decades almost. So the film is in 3 parts. It moves from 1998, 2010, and then ends in 2019. And then when I started writing the film, because it's my own house, everything came from my own personal experiences and memories. Especially the first part of the film, the 1998 bit, because it is the one which sort of is the most nostalgic one in that way.
Are you the baby who's born there?
No. I'm the one who comes in the car in the yellow t-shirt. Yeah.
Okay.
uh, so yeah. So once I mean, the whole foundation was very personal. I mean, the characters were sort of based on my own family members, and then once I had them in place, then I was fictionalizing them as we went ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, you captured beautiful nostalgia for so many people. Your film really crosses all boundaries, all borders, and it appeals to the heart in a very clear and concise way. And all of us sitting here in Canada or US or wherever we were watching, including my mother, my mother said, "Oh my God, I feel like I've been transported to 1950s Dhaka through this film." And you're like 98 and onwards, so well done. And now we'll come to Baba Azmi, whose film opened the festival Tell us a little bit about that, Baba.
Hi everyone. I don't know how many have you all seen Mee Raqsam, but yeah, Mee Raqsam happened to me. I started shooting in 2019, but the film
We'll go
was,
back before that.
but the film, the script was with me over 6, 7 years. It was ready to shoot, and I was also committed with my work as a DOP. So every time I wanted to start, something or the other was coming up. And many years ago, I was sitting with my dad in Mijwa, and there he had asked. So Mijwa is a very small, tiny little village in eastern UP, uh, in Azamgarh. So we were sitting there, and once he had asked me, is it possible that you can ever make a film, shoot a film in my village, Mijwa? And that time it was like impossible, because the infrastructure to organize a shooting there for about 40 days, you need arrangements of from the production point of view where the unit will stay. And there are about 60 people in a unit. So there were no hotels, no lodges, nothing there. So it was quite impossible. But what he had told me, it just stayed with me. And this 2019, when it was a centenary year, I decided as a tribute to make this film. And what better place to shoot than Mijwa itself. And I not only shot the film there, but even Aditi Subedi, the girl who plays Mariam, she's a 15-year-old girl. She was 15. She's from Mijwa when I started the film. So I just discovered her there. And I've known her since she's been a small kid. And I used to see this very bright eyes whenever we were sitting chatting. She's trying to absorb everything, what is happening, not knowing ये लोग बड़े लोग क्या बात कर रहे हैं, what are these elders doing, kind of thing. But still, so once I decided, so why I cast her is also when I took her audition. She had never shot earlier. She didn't know S of shooting, and I had done a lot of auditions in Bombay, and so I needed a girl who could do Bharatanatyam. What was happening was I was either finding girls who could dance but not perform, or girls, kids who could speak the lines, but they had a certain rhythm because they're used to working in advertising and film, television. So they have a certain rhythm of talking. It's not that real, very earthy, the kind of feel I wanted. So once I just, in fact, Shabana told me, okay, why don't you try this girl, Aditi? I said, I don't think, in front of the camera, she'll get conscious. Impossible. Give it a try, why not? So I mean, it's quite impossible to believe that I sent her a scene from here, WhatsApp a scene, and I just briefed her. I told her, just remember the lines and speak the way you want to speak. That's it. And she gave me an audition. Immediately, her sister, Mijwa, she shot on her phone, and they sent me the audition. And I was quite shocked. I was really—
That's amazing.
Pleasantly surprised. And the thing, Arshad, is now comes the reality, the practicality of getting the whole film together, actors. And I was very clear from day one that I wanted to make this film with newcomers. I was very—
Listen, you lucked out. You lucked out. She's unbelievable. She's magic.
Yeah.
And it's so funny
true.
because your father talks about Mijwa. She's from there. Your sister tells you about it. This is the magic of filmmaking, right? Especially independent filmmaking, especially when it's not, especially sincere filmmaking, which is what all of you filmmakers are doing from the heart, and so it shows in your work, and the film, hits you on a very emotional, visceral level, and that's wonderful. My question for you right at this moment is really, how did it actually happen that you had the script, then you found the time, you found a producer, you found a, you know, like how did you actually decide that, okay, haan, chalo, ho gaya, let's now, I've got the script, let's cast. I want to know, even before you started casting, where did you like find the money, or what prompted it?
Okay, okay. What happened was, whenever I spoke to some producer or something, they would tell me, why do you want to make a film with newcomers? You know everyone in the industry. You've been here, and your work as a DOP has been always appreciated, and you have such good rapport with the stars, so you can get anyone. I said, but that's not the point. That's not the script. My girl is 15 years. I want to make a film with newcomers, and this is what I believe. So every time newcomers were mentioned, the producers would say, "Sir, I mean, why unnecessary? It's a risk," and things like that. Anyway, I got the drift. I got the point. What you're saying.
Well, it's true that producers.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but producers care about the names. They want to sell the film, right? So then you do have the names. You got Nasiruddin Shah, in the film as well. And so I'm just saying that, so did that not help you that, oh, you have these other names that you're going to be using, but your lead, you want this, breakthrough artist, breakout artist, new artist. So did that not?
Nasir came in very late, very, very.
Oh, okay.
Just about 2-3 weeks before I went to Metro. I'll tell you how he came in also. But anyway, when I finally decided that I'm going to make this film, come what may, I was so focused, so desperate to make the story. I decided, I will shoot this film on my phone. If nobody wants to watch it, it's okay. I'm going to sit and watch this film. But I want to narrate the story. So when I got that kind of focus and that passion, and that really then set the ball rolling. Once I decided, matter what.
That is key. This is key, right? This is for our young filmmakers and our new filmmakers or older filmmakers, first-time filmmakers. The key is passion. You just hit it on the nail, right? Like you have to say, kuch bhi ho jaye, rain or shine, I have to make this film. And you were committed, but it has to be made now. I'll make it on my iPhone. That's a great and amazing, spirit to have in order to make the film. Now I want to know, just we'll start with you, then we'll move on. The impact that your film has had so far, how's that feeling?
I knew the film is going to be appreciated because I believed in the story, and I knew. But this has really taken another notch higher. The kind of reaction I'm getting, and especially people you've admired, Shyam Benegal and MS Satyu from Garam Hawa and Aparna Singh, and when I get appreciation from them, when I get a message from them, it's so fulfilling and so nice to see all these masters appreciating your work.
Absolutely.
End of the day,
and here also everyone is absolutely loving your film and raving about it. But I have to ask you something else, and this is very personal. I want to ask you about the filmmaking challenges. You've always been, working as a DOP with so many filmmakers. How difficult was it to now direct?
Technically, to direct was not an issue, Arshad, because I've been working as a DOP for 35 years. So the technical side, the technical part of filmmaking was not a problem for me. I knew I wanted to narrate this film, shoot it in a very simple way, no director's dance with Jimmy Jips flying all over the place, and nothing like that. I wanted to keep it as a simple narrative. And so that was not the issue in my mind. But yes, there were doubts and there were fears and insecurity, when I was finally, when the day was coming close, and I said, oh shit, well, I do it well. Because I've got a great script, and if I can't do justice to it, then it would be too bad. And so thoda sa insecure moments were there, definitely moments were there. But because of my experience and because I've worked with so many films, somewhere that security was that that I knew I'm not going to go very wrong. And I was also, I had a script which I totally loved, believe, and I felt this is the story I want to make, whether you like it or you don't like it. See, finally, I had to produce the film. Finally, I had to produce. And when yeah, so because I was not getting produced. And they didn't want to make films with newcomers. Fair enough. I mean, that's business. It's film business, so it's okay. Uh, when I finally decided, yes, I'm going to produce and direct my film, and I'll shoot it on a phone if I have to. I will sit alone and watch the film in my house if I have to, but I'm going to make the film. Once that got clear in my head, then there was no looking. Then there were no issues, no problems, nothing.
Amazing.
So I really tell my assistants and everybody, when this is how we want to make a short film. Want to make it? You make it. You've got a phone today. Just take and shoot. We've got an editing setup. Come here, edit, see. If you don't like it, take it. But don't keep thinking. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, so from experience and from that place of like security of having worked on so much and having seen so many actors being directed and working from a place of security, we'll go to Achal now, Achal, tell us about your film, because you don't have this big body of experience and yet you've made this feature. What are the challenges once you decided you were going to make it? Like what were the big challenges of making your film?
So the biggest challenges actually came when we started shooting. Initially it was a very, very homegrown sort of a project where, my parents were financing it, and our crew was very small, like, 4 people, DOP and me and production manager, and sound, and then we had a couple of lights. So also because we were shooting in Bihar, which doesn't have, a film industry as such. So we had to source the lights and the lenses from different places. So say our lenses came from Delhi, our lights came from Patna, our sound equipment came from Bombay. So this was the initial sort of, pre-production that we did. But once we started, that's when I probably realized, how big a project this has become,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't come from a film school background, or I haven't, I just used to make films on my own, completely zero budget, just going around my hometown, working with non-actors. So that was where I was doing sound and camera and everything on my own. And now suddenly I have this, whole, 7-8 lightmen running around, and there's a clap with my name on it. So I'm very surprised that this is happening on my film.
So exciting.
So,
and it's beautiful. It's poetically shot.
Yeah, and all of this happened because I got such a wonderful team. Our DOP, Anand Bansal, we were all, we were all 21, 22-year-olds, but they had, at least all of these other people had actually graduated from film schools. So they brought a certain, professionalism to the set. And they were the ones who were, actually keeping things organized. Compared to, me, who was more, just very overwhelmed in a way. And then when we started shooting, lots of things went wrong, because I was working with a 90% cast of non-professional actors. I mean, people who have never faced the camera before, and they were mostly people from the village or the town whom I've known for, say, last 4-5 years. And so they were there, and suddenly there's this whole setup around them. There's 3-4 mics and lights and reflectors, and mostly it's very small spaces. You've seen the film, that the rooms are very small. So they were not comfortable at all in the beginning, and a lot of dialogues which were there in the script were completely not translating, when we were shooting them. So this was my first, worry that, this is not happening. And then we had barely shot for, say, 2 days, and this is our first schedule. We've just started on the film, and on the third day it starts raining, and third day it rains, fourth day it rains, fifth day So
Oh,
three
good
continuous
grief.
days of raining, and you've seen the film. It's all summer. The first part we wanted it to be summer because the film is very seasonal in that way. It moves from summer to autumn and then finally ends during winter. So we wanted to have that that atmospheric feel to it in a way. So we wanted someone, and then it's raining and we're not shooting anything. So my crew comes to me and says, Achal, we only have two options. Either we make it into a short film or we abandon the project, because we are paying the equipment, the rent every day. We're paying and then whatever little professional actors we had and everyone else who was working. So every day we would come back and I would be questioning if did I start this too early? I'm just 21. I'm not ready yet to make to work on a feature film. I mean, feature is something completely different from what I used to do. So, and next day we would again go back and with some hope and try and shoot, but again it would rain. And it's like, even if it rains for 5 minutes, it's not like you can start shooting because the grass will still be wet, and there still might be clouds around, so you still are not getting. And because we were shooting on a limited budget, we were relying so much on sunlight. you know
Okay,
we
yeah.
didn't have so many big lights, so we had like 4 or 5 mirrors, and we were trying to reflect all the sunlight into our rooms from like 4 or 5 different
Wow.
angles.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
was gonna just ask. Why didn't you just take the shoot inside if you have like weather challenges? But now that makes
Sorry,
sense.
abo-
Well, I was
yeah.
saying, why didn't you bring the shoot indoors if you had weather challenges, which is what you usually do? But now it
Yeah,
makes
but
sense.
the house is structured in that way that there's no clear indoors or outdoors.
Right.
That sort of a village house. There's an angan which is in the center, and you always see the outdoors in a way. And our shots were planned as such that we can't really have just a block shot of just the room. There was always this interaction of indoors and outdoors in a way. So that was happening, and then it went on for some time. Then finally, when the sun came back and then we started shooting, that's when we tried and pulled our socks up and uh, did shoot a lot, but yet we couldn't complete it. And then I was not even sure if the people, because it's a seasonal film, so we had to shoot in different schedules. We shot in June, then November, and then January. So I was not even sure that after this experience, will these people come back to help shoot this film again. But what
Did
happened is
that happen though? Did everybody
yeah,
come back?
no, I made a rough cut actually, with some temporary music, and then they got an idea of what the film is gonna be, and everyone liked
So you
it.
had to show it to them for them to
Yeah,
be convinced to come back.
I mean they were gonna come, but just to be more convincing of just to have
Yeah.
them believe in the project more. you
So
know
you kept them in the loop. You kept
yeah,
them informed
yeah.
about the film. That wow, that's unusual.
Because I was editing the film myself, so that was there. And then, after that, the shoot was very smooth in a way. We realized our mistakes in the first schedule. So for the second schedule, we got different people who we thought might be, important. I didn't even have an AD in the first schedule, no one to, do the script. What do you call it?
Supervision.
Yeah, script supervisor. We didn't have that. We didn't have anyone doing costumes. So for the next schedule, we tried to be more organized in that way. And then in the next schedule, we were done before time. We were done shooting
There you
before
go.
time. Yeah.
So you
So yeah,
learned your lesson in having a
yeah. I
proper
mean,
crew.
the film was my film school in a way. It was my film school. Yeah.
Yeah, because like if you're a DOP, you often just think lighting, you think everybody else is just useless. But if you're art department, you're like, what is all these other people doing? We're the most important. If you're a performer, you're like, acting is the most important, everything. But it's really a team, right?
And
It's a team that brings the project together.
everyone was improvising throughout. It was not just the actors who were improvising. I mean, as a DOP, Anand was improvising when he didn't have lights. It was a sound technician, a sound recorder improvising, because there was, it was a village setup. So somewhere there's some wedding happening, or you have, sometimes it's a village, so sometimes a bird just starts randomly, and you can't shut a bird up.
Yeah, of course.
So we were improvising throughout, a lot of times. So yeah, it was wonderful. And even the non-actors, the non-professional actors, by the second schedule, they were so comfortable. They knew everyone, we knew each other. And I also started relying on them more, because it's like, uh, they are from that space, they are from that village, they are from that city, and I saw myself as a almost like a semi outsider, because I didn't grow up there as such. That's my ancestral house which I used to visit, but
Yeah.
I've grown up in boarding schools outside. I lived in Delhi and then I went to London. So I'm very, slightly detached from that, So when I went in with the script, I felt like, a lot of dialogues were, I'm imposing this on them, this doesn't feel real. Also because, they are non-actors.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they also started, rehearsing those lines. So it was completely, almost artificial in a way. So what we started doing is, our script was just a starting point then, I told them what the scene is going to be, and started, relying on how they speak, and you can't really, when working with such a, large group of non-actors, you can't really have one single guideline for each of them. You have to understand each of them, might work differently. So what I did is I also started adjusting, almost rewriting my script accordingly,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
I knew this person can probably do the heavy lifting, and probably this person might not be able to do this scene here. She might be able to do a little dialogue here or there, so I was constantly making these changes.
That's the
And that
thing when you
also,
have, yep.
yeah, and that also defined how we were shooting. So for a scene, I used to put the camera very far away, so that the people are not even aware of where the camera is. So for one scene where I was really hoping for for a person to say those lines, I put the camera almost 20 feet behind her on a telephoto lens, and we hid the
Wow.
mic around. So even the crew was so far away, so they were automatically very comfortable, and then the dialogues that came out, they were so much more real, and so much coming from them, because when you cast non-professional actors, you're not casting them to perform something else. You're casting them to perform themselves in a way, or slight
Wow.
variations of themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And you also get to work with some professionals, some non-professional actors,
Yeah.
and you see how much time is saved when you hire a professional actor because they know so much more of what they're
Yeah.
doing. But the challenge of working with non-professional actors, is also quite beautiful, and you've done it in such a good way. Thank you for giving us some insights into your hybrid kind of fiction, doc fiction film. So from your film, we'll move to Blaise's film, which is a documentary. And also, I want to talk to you, Blaise, about how did you work with your subject? Because your subject is fierce, and I want to know about how your and also the community fighting with the community, how the challenges, how did that come about, and how is your how's the editing process, because the doc is
Oh,
made in the editing room.
the whole film was a challenge. Let's just put it that way, right from the beginning, even to now. Just from the basis of how it was actually set up is obviously because we had no budget to actually hire a professional crew, pay people for their time. It just posed a number of challenges. I mean, the idea initially was that we're gonna create a documentary around the LGBTQ plus community broadly, and we will talk about various issues. And there was a focus on hate crime, and we wanted to interview people from the police. We wanted to interview people from various professional organizations and get some really great input that way. And one of the challenges that we were finding was that these organizations that we were approaching were saying, yes, great, you can come and interview us, you can do a segment on us. However, we want something in return. We want you to produce a video for us. And we're thinking, God, we're
Mm-hmm.
just like, we're like a group of amateur filmmakers in a sense, in terms of the participants. And it was just too draining for us because we were only meeting once a week. So it just wasn't possible for us. And another challenge was that participants were dropping out. So we had 10 people to begin with, and then people would drop out, people wouldn't turn up to sessions. And then we were recruiting people as we were going along to continue the conversations that we were having. And it just so happened that all of the white people dropped out of our project. And we just thought, okay, cool,
Wow.
this is an opportunity for us to just talk about really openly and honestly about the challenges we as people of color are facing. So all the group predominantly became a queer POC group. And the thing is that we would have these conversations and we were thinking, why not we become the documentary? Why don't we showcase our challenges, because we are as important as the people that we were going to approach initially. And let's focus the documentary and base it initially on our project and the fact that our project is going out and meeting all these wonderful people and encountering all these events and going to various Pride events. So we thought, okay, let's work on it on that basis. And there were creative differences along the way, obviously, as well, between us and participants and people who wanted to get involved. That was another challenge. And everybody wasn't experienced. I'm the only person who has professional experience in film and TV video production. So I was also training people as we were going along. So we would have people on set or while we're out filming who had for the first time used a boom pole, for the first time used a camera. So we were trying to train them at the same time, and I'm also in it as well. So there was loads of things that were potentially going wrong on the day, but somehow we managed to pull it together and be able to produce what we produced. And
well, the thing is, the film is really relatable, and also, you know, across the pond in North America, there have been these huge challenges by religious groups like Muslim groups and so on, who do not want, you know, LGBTQ rights or education about LGBTQ issues in high schools and in the educational institutions. So your film is really tackling that head on in such a strong and powerful way. I encourage our viewers to watch Pride and Protest, because this is key, you know, making, first of all, films by people of color, about people of color, but also about people of color who are amongst themselves having these very, very serious issues. You know, a lot of our folks bring their prejudices from back home and they think, okay, over here, we're going to continue this way of thinking. And your film is challenging that kind of head on. So tell us a little about that. Why did you decide just...
I mean, the UK, it has areas that are very diverse, and then you have areas that are very just white. So London and Birmingham are two areas that are very diverse. So Birmingham was where they had protests against protests against LGBT education being taught in school. Well, when we say LGBT education, it was about relationships. So what primary schools have started doing as an initiative, and the government have brought this in, is that they're teaching children from an early age that there are different types of families out there. Some families have two mummies, some families have two daddies, and some girls and boys like to dress up in each other's clothes, and that's all fine. So they were giving children books. So they had like a story time, and children were taking home library books that had characters in there. And it wasn't even humans, it was penguins. One book had two penguins.
That's right.
And it was based on a real true story, in fact, where these two penguins in a zoo had a relationship. And it's just basically about that. And so they're kind of using metaphors for real life relationships. So somewhere along the lines, one of the parents caught wind of it, and she told her brother, and her brother decided to lead protests outside the school. And they started off at a different school initially, and then they went off and carried on, and they started at the school that you see in the documentary. And they were there for weeks. So when we came along, we as a group decided that, okay, we want to go along and see what these protesters are about. Because on the news, we had seen some of the stuff they were saying. And, you know, they're Muslim people who have a certain perspective on LGBTQ plus people, because in Islam, according to them, they say it's forbidden. So they shouldn't be, kids should not even be taught about it at all, or even mention it. So some of the protesters decided that they would, on a weekly basis, daily basis, in fact, go and stand outside the school gates. So they were standing outside the school gates. They were shouting on megaphones, saying that. You know,
have you been filming that, by the way? You went there every day. You filmed it?
No, we just went on that one day, and luckily, thank God, we went on the day where it was just like super busy.
Yes.
Had a huge protest. And
I can't believe that's a filmmaker's luck, right? Like when you
it's a
get
filmmaker's
gold.
100%.
Because I don't. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Another lucky thing is Farhan Khan, the person who we see first of all challenge the protesters, had actually applied to our project. So we thought, okay, we're going to be in Birmingham. Farhan's from Glasgow, but Farhan's moving from London and from place to place. So we thought, why don't we meet there? And this is the first time I met Farhan Khan, and it was just amazing because Farhan Khan went to the protesters. He asked them questions that just really revealed their prejudices, and it just really revealed that they're coming from a place of misinformation, and they were spreading.
He has so much courage to challenge them like that.
Yeah. Oh, Farhan's pronouns, by the way, are they, them. So
they. Sorry, I'm really sorry. They have so much courage
Yeah.
to challenge that and to challenge those people. I was sweating bricks when I was watching those scenes. I'm like, they're going to get beat up.
For me, Farhan is kind of like a hero, because Farhan was able to say all the things that I would love to have said to these protesters, but just wouldn't have had the courage, or would have just stumbled along the way, or maybe just got really angry. But I stayed very much behind the camera and just captured everything and allowed Farhan to do what they wanted to, really, and challenge the protesters. And we caught it on camera. We caught some of the bickering, some of the, even the microaggressions that Farhan faced. You know, there's a scene in there where one of the protesters saying, "We're not homophobic. We do not care about what people do in their private lives. We just don't want our kids to know about it," kind of thing. But then you see a scene where there's an older Mulvi who approaches Farhan and says, "Oh, are you gay? Are you gay? Keep away, keep away." So, you know, there's things like that they're saying, but at the same time, they're kind of contradicting themselves when they're on the microphone and saying, "We're not homophobic, we're not against it, but we don't want to hear about it," kind of thing. So we just thought, let's just pick up a camera and let's just show that. So we created a short video from that. And initially, we just thought we were going to put it on online, and just for people just to see what's happening. And it took off. A lot of people shared it, and it went on Facebook. It went kind of viral. And as a result of it, the police contacted me, and they were like, "Okay, well, we've had a lot of complaints about what's been said, and we want to talk to you and get a statement from you." So they came over to the office, they took a statement, and I was like, "Oh God!" First of all, I was like, "What have I done? Have I messed up here?" And they were like, "No, it's nothing you've done. We just want to talk to you about and get a statement from you, because this is actually a critical piece of evidence in enabling us to getting these protesters stopped." So I was like, okay, I jumped at the chance. I thought, you know what, this needs to be done. So I gave them the footage. They used that in court. I mean, to be honest, we could have made a whole documentary just on this particular subject. And we thought, okay, we could have done that very easily. Could have filled up an hour and a half from the court case to all the testimonies from the students, the teachers, etc. But then we thought, you know what, it's not about them. Let's not give these homophobic people a platform. Let's just show a little slice of what they're about. And now it's our turn. This is our story.
Oh, very
talk about
smart.
The things
very smart.
that we want to talk about, and we want to give us a voice, because they had Sky News, BBC News, ITV News, all platforms. Why give them more coverage? Why give them more airtime?
Absolutely.
So I was like, okay, let's take control of this story. Let's be the narrative, and that's how the rest of the documentary pans out. Because we just thought, you know, there's so many people out there in the community that are doing great work. Let's showcase them. Let's, you know, give them the platform and give them the opportunity to talk about some of the great work that they're doing.
Wonderful. Bravo. How long was the editing process?
I would say, I mean, I tried to log my hours, but I would say plus 1,000 hours or so at least, just to kind of get it. Because what it was is...
And how many editors?
Just me. There was people from the group who we used as exercises so I could train them how to edit. But when it came to the final edit, it was just myself putting it together, working through Christmas. Every single occasion, I would wake up at probably at like 5 in the morning, go sleep at like 2 a.m., you know, have very little sleep, but just continuously doing it. And it's what, you know, Baba was saying, it's what Achal was saying, it's about passion, you know, it's about you having that desire to, no matter what, you're going to get this film made. And it doesn't, you know, I wasn't looking at money, never have from this production. I'm just looking at, I want to get this story out there, and I will do
absolutely. It has to be seen.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
My other question is, so how did you do feedback screenings during your edit?
No, to be honest, because of the time scale on it, I kind of submitted it to BFI Flair before showing it to the participants, in fact. So the first time they were going to see it was in BFI South Bank, a very lovely cinema in London. And that would have been their opportunity to see it on screen. And we were so excited about that. We were like, oh my God, like this is a really great opportunity. A first film, it's going to be shown in a cinema. It's going to be shown at a prestigious London venue. And obviously then COVID happened. And then it got COVID cancelled. So we were just like, okay,
yeah, that's such a shame.
And because COVID came in the way, it kind of caused a block. And then we were like, how do we show this film? Because we weren't thinking about online at the time. But it just so happened that there was an opportunity through Flair that they organized a special event for us on Pride weekend, which was amazing. And they told us that we could screen the film and have a Q&A as a result of it. And we did that, and we used that as a test screening almost. And it
Well
was the
done.
first time the participants had actually seen the film. And I've got a WhatsApp group with all of them in there, Farhan, Vinny, Manpreet, all of the main participants who will be coming along to the, we've got a screening and a Q&A later on this week. So they were like, I was like thinking, oh my God, what are they going to think? What are they going to think? They're going to hate me. They're going to tell me to change this and change that, so I can edit it all out. And they loved it. They were like, oh my God, we don't want to end. It's so good. Yeah, they were like, it just captured the sense of the project, and they were really, really taken back by it. And the feedback from the audience we had has been incredible as well, because a lot of people have said that they can see themselves within those characters, and a lot of the challenges that they're facing themselves. So it really struck a chord with them, and it resonated. And I think that's, as a filmmaker, that's one of the most important things when you make a film, is that it needs to connect with people, because if it doesn't connect, what's the point? You know, if people aren't finding truth in the characters, they aren't finding themselves in the actual work, then, you know, that's one of the driving forces behind, for myself personally, from making this film. And I think because we achieved that, I'm over the moon at the moment.
That's wonderful. We can't wait to meet them at your screening later in the week. Also, just want to remind viewers to please send your questions to slido.com, and the hashtag, the number is 85129. And we have some questions, and incidentally, we're moving on to Zana now, who also won the Sabine Mahmood Award for Courage in Filmmaking at CoSAFF last year, and got a standing ovation for her incredible and outstanding film, Untying the Knot. Zana, I'm going to start with a question from the audience, from Ketki. She asked, when you know the subject of your film so personally, in this case, Romana, who was a survivor of domestic violence, how do you separate the emotional connection with the subject from the practical process of filmmaking? Zana there?
Oh my God, that's amazing question.
Yeah, she asks amazing questions. She's one of our programmers.
To be honest, it was very difficult because she is my friend, right? And we went to high school together. I have been known her all my life, right? So I would say that being a documentary filmmaker, I guess in a way it was challenging, but at the same time, I had the advantage that I can feel the emotion, right? At the same time, I can process that while making this film. So I should be frank and open that I cried every scene. I cried every time. Rumana is my friend, but not in my film. It was very hard to not to feel, not to cry, to be honest. Like when you are listening such a heartbreaking assaults or abuse they had been through, and the experience is so brutal that when someone is telling from their heart, and I know it's a true story, right? I don't know how to not feel their pain. So it was very challenging, and honestly I had to stop my camera while I was doing interviews to compose my pause, and it was really challenging. It was difficult to not to feel anything as a filmmaker, as a friend, as a human being. I guess it was very emotional journey.
You had the help of an editor and story writer and your producer, so they kept you from going into a realm of too much emotion for yourself, and you were able to contextualize a story and present a beautiful film very objectively, I felt. So that's well done. How long did the editing process take for you?
We started editing in September 2018, I believe, and it took about 3-4 months to submit the final cut for CBC. Yeah.
So we have another question from Radeshwar. And Radeshwar was asking, how can one raise money for their first film if you're a first-time filmmaker? And a follow-up question is that, is it easy to make your first feature drawing inspiration from personal stories using locations like your own hometown, which is easily accessible to you as a first-timer? So some of us have answered that, but maybe some of you want to take on that question.
I would like to say, as a first-time filmmaker, definitely if it is a personal story, that's easy. It's your own story. That it helped me, because whenever I'm pitching my story, Asha, you know, I pitch you a million times, I guess. So whenever I'm telling the story, you can see my emotion, you can see how passionate I am about the story. So I felt like that helped me as a first-time filmmaker to others, that how much passionate I am, and how much stubborn I am, that I'm gonna make this film, no matter
Absolutely.
what. But the biggest challenge for first-time filmmaker is money. The other question, like, yes, money is a very difficult and very challenging for me as well. Although I was fortunate enough to get Lalita, Katie, and CBC's Dog Channel on board, but it took a long time. It took a while, and you have to pitch over and over, and that comes that if it's your personal story, if you are passionate and you are stupid enough like me, that I'm gonna make it. And I was another thing is, like, it was a story part of back home, right? So it was, in a way, it's easier, because every time I'm visiting my mom, how am I gonna, feed myself, or all those things? So I don't have to worry about those things. My mom was my biggest support, but I just had to worry, how am I gonna film? How am I gonna? So initially, during the making those pitch demo, I couldn't hire professional like camera person or sound or anything. I had to do all by myself. But when I got the funding, so it was easier. So it's a struggle, to be honest, for a first-time filmmaker. You have to be stubborn, you have to be passionate, you have to be stupid enough, and no matter what challenge is gonna come, I'll just do it. But yeah, it's worth, to be that person.
Amazing. Any of you other, Baba Azmi, did you have anything to add to that? And also, people are asking about advice also on your journey, to what advice you have for first-time filmmakers, if anybody has that.
What I feel, you need the passion. Pick up the camera and shoot. Just go for it. Don't, try to analyze it too much. And it will happen. If you have the passion, it will happen. And you'll be able to make the kind of film you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Now, sorry, you're breaking up for me. These are the issues we have sometimes.
There's some
online, but Manoj has asked a question: what percentage of the budget did you allocate to pre-shoot, prep, production, post-production, and marketing? And I was thinking, first-time filmmakers never think of marketing. Everything goes into the film. You don't think about how it's gonna be marketed or nothing. You just want to put all your efforts.
We just want to make the film. Yeah. Marketing is.
I don't know, Blaise, Achal, did you think of all those things?
Later we'll think about it.
And there was no such thing as, this is 20% goes in pre, and then 10% will go in post. And I mean, there's no division like that. You just start flowing, and that's it.
And I have another question also. Priya asks, which filmmaker inspired your current project that you just shot and made? Or which film, or which filmmaker inspires you?
Who's this question for?
Anybody. These are questions from the
I
audience.
for me, let me say Mee Raqsam, and my inspiration. It's not the inspiration of the script, but the sur of the film, the pitch, is Majid Majidi. I love his films, Irani films, and I just
Very
love the way Majidi makes his films.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Achal, for you?
Uh, I was actually very heavily influenced in the beginning by the films of this Taiwanese master Hu Shaoshan. Uh, and then apart from him, I think there's the Japanese filmmaker Hirokazu Koreeda, whose film Still Walking, which is also a family drama. That film, that was one film which I actually made my team watch, before we started
Oh,
shooting our film,
wow.
you know. And then in general, the films of Yasujiro Ozu, the Japanese again master. So these are the three filmmakers which
The
really,
fall, autumn, spring, like he has a,
yeah, his
a
films are called
series.
are always named around the seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Blaise, what about you?
I was quite influenced by Paris is Burning, which is the documentary about voguing and the ballroom culture. And it
Great film.
specifically is, yeah, it's a brilliant film. And it's basically what they used as a reference to create the film Pose. So a whole series was created off the back of this documentary. And you can see all the characters in the actual Pose series are based upon the real life participants that are in the documentary. So I just thought, wouldn't it be wonderful in 10, 15 years time that there's a documentary that's, sorry, an actual TV series that's made off the back of this documentary. So I was kind of influenced by that to begin with, but also
10,
there was
12, that, we just had the 30th anniversary of Paris is Burning.
oh really? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, but 30 years later, it's still relevant, and it's just so incredible to see that. So I just thought that was just such an inspiration because it was the first film that really shone a spotlight on queer Black people, specifically queer Black and Latinx people in New York and various other places in America. So that was an influence. But I also actually went to BFI Flair the year before we submitted this film. So I watched loads of documentaries and I was like, you know what, somehow I'm going to get a film here next year. So I kind of went in with that hat on and I kind of
Oh,
thought,
fantastic.
okay, obviously I didn't go there specifically. I didn't make this film specifically for festivals, but I kind of felt that, okay, let me get some influence. Let me see what's out there. Let me see what works. And kind of when you're editing things, you kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So I was quite aware and that definitely influenced me. So my recommendation is to watch loads of films at festivals, watch what's being picked up, what's the current topic, but also echoing what everyone else was saying is passion. You've got to be so passionate about your subject, because if you're not, those long hours aren't possible. You can't sit in front of a screen for 15 hours plus without that passion. If you don't have that desire, and if you don't know the subject or care for the subject, you're not going to be able to talk about it like how I am now. Like we're continuously talking about this subject, a year or so afterwards, and you're still living with those characters. You're still carrying those characters, be it documentary or narrative. Those characters and those stories are going to stay with you. So be prepared for that.
Well, yeah, that's because they're real people and you're interacting
Yeah.
with them and they're interacting with the film and the people are interacting with the film and the film is a living being. Now that I have you here, what is your advice for new filmmakers?
So I would say build a team of people around you who are going to be there when shit hits the fan. because
As you did everything yourself.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, I mean, to be honest, I did the production and the technical by myself. However, I had a really supportive team who without I would not have been able to do it. And that's the participants, that's the people that you see in the film as well. And they were responsible for, keeping me going in those times where I was just like doubting the film, doubting the ability for us to even get this finished. And those are the people that, are going to really support you in those, times. Yeah. So they're going to support you in those times of need. So I would say, yeah, definitely surround yourself with people who aren't just good at what they do, but genuinely believe in the concept, because you do need people like that. You don't need people who are going to make you second guess yourself. Yes, have people who are going to challenge you, but have your cheerleaders, because those cheerleaders are vital in those moments where you start losing momentum and you start doubting yourself and you start second guessing every single thing that you're doing, you need somebody to pick you up and say, you know what, this is why you started doing this. Remember that. And those people were my participants. And I want to thank Manpreet, Vineet, Farhan, all the lovely people in the documentary, all the participants that helped out, all the volunteers, people who put time and energy and effort into this project, because without them, there would be no Pride and Protest.
Absolutely. What about yourself, Zana? What advice? I know you said passion and just make it, but any other advice you might have for new filmmakers?
I would totally agree with what Blaise said, that you need a cheerleader. There are gonna be a lot of challenges. You will feel down. You will feel, what am I doing? Why I'm doing this thing? You need a cheerleader. You need that support team, that someone is gonna believe, even when you don't believe yourself, you don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. Someone will show you the lights, that there is a light, just keep going, keep going. So I totally agree with Blaise. And beside that, yeah, you need to be passionate, you need to be stubborn to reach your goal.
Okay, and Baba, what is your advice?
No, I agree with Blaise and Zana. I mean, you need passion first, I feel.
But you also need contacts.
Not really.
Someone asked me, how did you get Nasiruddin Shah to participate in your film? Someone just asked me that.
No, I really mean passion is number one. And you find a team, you know, the people who come along with you, they have the same kind of a need to make a film and to join in with your, when they see the director so passionate about a subject, or maybe I've just been fortunate that I just got my whole team just like that, and they worked at it, and till the very end, they were all there with me, very supportive.
Baba, would you agree with me that you can actually never pay your crew enough? Because the amount of work they do and what they give to you as a director is so much more than you can ever compensate them back for, right?
True.
I mean, you're indebted to them because of their hard work.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Achal, what's
their
your
focus? And their entire focus there, you know, in your film, they have to have the same intensity. Only then you can make a film, independent film. You know, if you're doing this high budget films, then basically you're just doing it for the fees you're getting, the money you're getting. And after pack up, you go home and you get into a different zone. Not with Mee Raqsam, that was not the case. And I'm sure with all the films here we are talking about, it's whether it's 5 guys like Achal says, or there are about 20 people. But they all are there with the same energy, same focus, and साथ कंधा मिला के चलने वाले.
बिल्कुल सही. You know, and you know, Mariam Usman said that Mee Raqsam, you know, you have this very steady hand, and you can feel the love in the frame. You know, it comes across that everyone is there and they're really loving what they're doing, and you love what you do, and people believe in your film. And so the work, you know, it shines through when you have a collaborative effort. What about Achal? What advice do you have?
So I would like to maybe point out 2 different things, because passion and collaborators have already been said. So for me, I mean, that I had worked on these, you know, these little short films where I had done everything on my own, you know, that was one of my, you know, biggest learning, you know, because, you know, I knew how to work with sound in a way, and I knew how to operate the camera, and I knew how to do the edit. So, you know, when I'm working with the crew, you know, I have a certain idea of, you know, how to go about certain things in a way. So firstly, that, you know, that because filmmaking is so much easier now, you know, than say 20 years ago or 30 years ago, that one can, you know, just go out with a iPhone and, you know, shoot something and then edit it, even on an iPhone. Apart from that, I think the other thing I would like to say is, you know, I used to think or believe that, you know, these are my shortcomings. You know, I used to think that I'm not such a good writer. And I was, even when I started Gamak Ghar, I used to feel I'm very underconfident working with actors, you know. But I realized, you know, your shortcomings aren't really your shortcomings in a way. You know, you have to work around it. You have to build around it. Uh, you know, and because, you know, everyone is different, you know, everyone has their own voice, and the whole sort of process is to get to your own voice in that way. So,
May I
you know,
just say one thing? Are you
yeah,
trying to, just to clarify your point, are you saying know thyself? That's so
yeah,
important,
yeah,
right? You
yeah,
have to know
obviously,
your strengths
yeah,
and
yeah,
you have
know
to
your
know your
strengths, yeah.
weaknesses.
I mean, not like, you know, what you're not good at shouldn't really be your focus, you know, and it should rather be what you are, you know, good at in a way. Yeah. So that was something I realized, you know, through the process.
That is such a deep insight. You know, somebody recently said that you need to find someone under 30 to be your guru and your inspiration. And you know, we've been taught, raised to look up to older people for advice, inspiration. But now it's really I need to find mentors under 30. So that's, you know, when I hear advice like that, Achal, I really believe in that. So that's wonderful. Thank you for that piece of advice. So we have so many questions coming in, but also I wanted to say, what are the other messages that anybody else would like to share? Because we have just a few more minutes left in our show today. So any other advice, any other things you'd like to discuss and get out there to the audiences who are going to be enjoying your films? You've all made outstanding films: Gamak Ghar, Mee Raqsam, Untying the Knot, Pride and Protest, all first features, all extremely mature features, all you know, moving, touching your heart, and all available until the 17th of October. So anything else you'd like to add?
It's an amazing opportunity for us, to be honest. Like, uh, one thing, like, when we start sending our film to the festivals and different countries across the world, due to COVID, a lot of festivals, like in-person physical festivals, got postponed, right? So it was very sad for us, and every filmmaker, we all wanted to show the world that story, right? We want to share the message. That's the thing, that's the reason we make film. So this whole CoSAFF thing was it came to us as such a great opportunity, Arshad. I remember when you approached me, we were at that time, Katie, I, and Lalita, we were all discussing how can we like connect with any online platform so that we can reach out more audience, we can show to the world, like anyone can access it easily. So it was a huge opportunity for us, and it feels so great, you know, now people are watching through CoSAFF and people are sending us messages how this is a very strong, powerful film, everyone needs to watch, all those men, everything. That is like, it is a
Oh
blessings
my
for
God,
me. I feel
Zana,
like
I'm
CoSAFF.
glad you mentioned this. No, just this part about men watching Untying the Knot. Remember when we had that screening?
Mhm.
A lot of the men in that audience were like, "Wow, this is not a film that should be just women watching. It's a film every man has to
Yeah.
watch." Sorry, continue.
Yeah, so I feel like CoSAFF came into Untying Knot life as a blessing. So now, like, we are sending out that information and message every filmmaker. We don't think about marketing at that time, right? And we don't have. But now, with your personal connection, you actually knock every door on. I guess who I haven't talked, everyone I'm pitching out to watch the film, to promote the film. So I guess that's the market time filmmaker. You just need to have a huge family, like South Asian extended family, you know.
Absolutely, it is so
So
important.
that you can reach reach out to every person, and they were going to reach out to friends. And that's how. And I would just
I'm sorry,
don't give up.
Breaking up.
It's your dream. Yeah. Don't give up, I would say, for the new filmmaker, first time filmmaker. Don't give up. Just keep dreaming and go for it.
Thank you. We're very proud to have your film on this platform. Really, it's our honor, and our audience's honor that we're able to see this. Very quick question, Zana, from Ketki as well. From Ketki Park, how difficult was it to convince your subjects in Bangladesh to speak on camera? I mean, is it not?
Yeah, it was a challenge. So no, it was a challenge because it's a very sensitive issue, right? And as you all know, in South Asia, it's still a taboo. We don't talk about domestic abuse, right? Whatever is happening behind that door, we keep it behind the closed door. So when I started doing research, a lot of women who reached out to me, they shared their story, but they were not brave enough to like open up in front of camera. So they just say that. So, but I wanted to make a film not in a news style where you cover their face, like you show them anonymously. I didn't want to make the film like that. I wanted to make it a very personal story, so that people can connect, people can look at the face and connect with their emotion, right? So I don't want to like hide the face and names or all. So it was challenging for me. It was difficult. It took a long time, but finally I found those brave girls who were willing to share their story and who believed in me to let me tell their story. So yeah, it was challenging, to be honest. Yeah.
And your subjects have seen the film, and just like
yes.
Blaise, they love the film.
They love the film. Oh my God. And the best compliment I got from Rumana's daughter, when the incident happened, she was 5 years old, but now she's like pre-teen. So when she watched the film, she watched the screening in Toronto, they came, and she just hugged me after the screening, and she said, "No one could ever tell my mom's story better than you." I feel like that's the greatest compliment.
Well done, Zana. Beautiful. Thank you. Untying the Knot. Still, everyone has to see that film. Baba Azmi, tell us about any final words, thoughts?
See, I do feel as a first-time director and somebody who wants to narrate a story, I have seen in my experience with my assistants and friends who've been wanting to do a film for some time, and they've not been able to do it only because they are waiting for some perfect script to come. And there is no perfect script. There's no perfect script. And I believe in it, and this is what I keep saying. If there is a story you want to narrate, just make that film and things will fall in place. And if you really believe in that subject you want to make it. Don't wait for a perfect script. That's my belief. That's my...
But it's hard to convince actors or collaborators to work if your script isn't like at par. So I do understand some of that challenge.
No, perfect. See, the the producers are least concerned with a script. Let me tell you. In a commercial setup, they are concerned with the names and what stars and how big the stars are and what is the business the film will do. Then comes the script, unfortunately. But today, I believe in the script, and the script being the most important part of film making. And so, I just feel if you believe in a subject, if you want to, move ahead, do it. Take the dive and go with your instinct. So there is no perfect script. This is what I believe. There is no perfect script. So don't keep waiting. It's like waiting for Godot.
When you start your journey, things start, like the stars start aligning. It's meant to be, it starts happening, And people keep asking me about Nasiruddin Shah. Is it true you attached him like 3 weeks before the film started.
Absolutely. I'll tell you how it happened if you have the time. Nasir and myself, we know each other for many, many years from the FTII days when he was there in Film and Television Institute of India. And his films, his earlier films, Bezuban, Hum Panch, Wo Saath Din, these are films which I've photographed, you know. And while working, so we have this mutual respect for each other, this affection for each other. And that's how our relationship has been. It's not like we are friends, we'll meet every weekend and over a drink or something, nothing like that. His, as I was coming close to my schedule for my film to start, and there was this Hashim Seth character. And I knew that the only person who can play this is Nasir. But I was not having the courage to approach him. And once we were just sitting after a play of his, and I felt, okay, let me ask him, you know. Maximum he's going to say, no, he's not going to kill me. So I asked him, I said, Nasir, I need about, 5-6 days of yours. So he said, why, you're making a film finally? Yeah, I'm making a film finally. And he was, without asking me the script, without asking me the character, he said, okay, I'm giving you those days whenever you want. Yeah, I was shooting between Jan to Feb. He said, you let me know when you want and I'll work around it and I'll come. And Arshad, he came on location in Mijma, which is a long drive from Varanasi. So you fly from Bombay to Varanasi, and from there you take 3.5 hours drive and not a very comfortable road. So, and he had a major pain in his back those days. So believe me, he took steroids and he traveled to that location. He stayed there for 4-5 days and as many days as we shot without a single complaint, without saying, Baba, can you pack me up slightly early? I'm having trouble. Not once. I mean, it was pure pleasure. Apart from his performance and all that, So
that's love.
That's how Nasir came. Yeah, exactly. It's that just mutual respect for each other, the affection what we have. So,
but the fact is, exactly.
Tell me.
I was going to say the fact is that you have earned that respect, Baba. You have earned that respect. You have done the work. You have built a relationship, and it's all about building relationships, building respect, having the patience to get to know people, so that eventually, when it's time, they will come out for you and they will believe in you and your work, and your work shines. True. Congratulations.
Thank you so
much. Yeah, and Achal, do you have any final words, any thoughts?
Probably just one thing, which is more of a realization, that once I was done with the film and it went out into the world, I realized, the film is so much bigger than you. It's so much bigger than the filmmaker, and you realize you were probably just the medium through which the film came into this world. And because this realization came because I was so attached to the film in a way, because I was doing everything. I was the producer and I was the director. So after that, I used to just go online and keep reading about what people are talking about the film, and things like that kept happening. But after a point, you realize it's so much it's so much bigger than you in a way.
It really is. It is absolutely beautiful words. Okay, thank you so much to our amazing guests, Achal Mishra, Baba Azmi, Zana Shami, Blaise Singh. Thank you for your amazing films, beautiful work. Thank you for joining us and giving us all this time and these valuable insights into making your first feature. To our viewers, please, also I wanted to thank Kate Kiasher and Rita Mahar, who are helping us with this presentation today. And I want to thank CoSAFF, the Coalition of South Asian Film Festivals. Please go to cosaff.org. You can also have a donate button if you would like to donate. All the films are for free. Please share on your social media and tell your friends. Sorry, that was my dentist calling. And have a wonderful week and stay safe. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Goodbye.
everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. All the best.